you have that buy-in. And if you have the buy-in, usually that makes all the difference in whether or not your decision works or not. If you don't actively interact with the people that you're solving that problem for, you're never going to find product market fit. I love a good team member that has initiative.
What is a piece of evergreen advice that you would offer someone starting their journey as a Web3 startup founder today?
So with no connections, no capital,
No
no
bag.
reputation.
Yeah.
Man, I've said this so many times. Communication, community secondly. And then really just emphasizing those connections, even if they don't seem like they're important, right? Yeah. You are solving a problem, right? When you're talking about product market fit, you're solving a problem for a specific group of people. And your hope is that this product market fit, that the problem that you're solving, that there's enough people that share in that problem and that desire your solution, that it's worth it as a business to be there. And if you don't actively interact with the people that you're solving that problem for, you're never going to find product market fit, right? Don't solve other people's problems. Solve a problem that you share in as part of that.
Yeah. I like it. That's great. All right. So now at that portion where Thomas and I actually get to jump in.
Hey.
We're doing the brainstormings, foundational business practices from an experienced CEO.
Like foundational business practices. We did cover some of that, but I think there's a lot to touch upon.
Great. All right. So I'll float this out to you guys then. I was having a conversation with a founder yesterday, who is, admittedly, he's a little longer in the tooth than I am. He's gone through a few of these, right? He was early telco, early SaaS. Now he's Web3. He's been here in the space for a while. And we were talking about some hard decisions that I have to make as a CEO, right? Mentor, friend, right? This guy, eating barbecue with in Austin. Yeah. And a good thing that he said to me was, if you're unsure what you're trying to do as a CEO, right, just think about it from your board's perspective. Even if you don't have a board, right, use that as a reference point, that if the behavior that I took was analyzed by people that had a financial interest in my business, and all of the emotions and the operations and the practical stuff went away, and they're just looking, did this person, did this founder, did this CEO make the best possible decision in this context? If you can answer that question, then that's pretty much where your answer is. And I thought that was really insightful, because even though you might be skirting, right, you're in some gray zones, you might be hurting some feelings, you might be doing some hard calls. If you can go back and say, I didn't enrich myself artificially, or unnecessarily, and provided where the company was in the situation that we were in, I made the best possible decision. I know you guys both also share leadership roles in your various organizations. Like, how does that sit with you guys?
I like it. I also think it's pretty. So it's interesting because a lot of people say something similar in parallel. So has anyone seen that YouTube of Matthew McConaughey? It's like, who's your hero? It's like, it's me in 5 years.
I have not seen that.
No, so he said it's a similar thing. It's like, who would you like? Who's your hero? It's me in 5 years. And then the mentor kind of sees him 5 years later and goes, so who's your hero? And he goes, it's are you your hero yet? And he's like, not even close. It's me in 5 years from now, right? And you use that as a guiding light as to who you want to be. And I think in terms of decision making, you can be your own worst critic. Yeah. But also if you model who you want to be and where you're going, and like what that would look like for you, and you speak to future you and you say, well, what do I do in this instance? It's also quite a useful conversation to have, or at least it's something that I occasionally do.
Yeah, I've often asked people that there is an impact on the decision for them, but they don't directly know. I just throw the decision at them, or like the idea. What do you think? And that has been engineers, it has been project managers, it has been everybody I worked with. I'm like, hey, we're sitting with this particular challenge. This is one of the solutions that we're thinking about. What do you think? And then generally you get back, well, why you're asking me? It's like, because you have a perspective that is far removed from the problem. So you look, and it doesn't mean that the solution that you think of or the feedback that you get is always valuable, but it's fresh eyes from somebody completely different who is still aligned in your business. And I've come to some really interesting outcomes sometimes. So I was like, shit, I didn't even think of that because it was so close to the problem. It's a curse of knowledge that you have. You're like, oh yeah, but I know this. So I this is the best way of solving it. And then somebody says, well, while it's a great way of solving it, have you thought of exploring this area? You're like, shit. Yeah. And then that's a whole different way. So I think it's always making the right decisions is really hard. And I think being humble, that's always, for me, has been very valuable. Generally made the better decisions, right? Like, and that sometimes meant that things took longer. But I was like, no, this is probably the better decision long term because I have 3 different perspectives from 3 different people in the business. And if I combine that somehow, yes, this will be a longer track, but the outcomes for them and myself are probably a lot higher, better, smarter, whatever it is. And I think that often my decisions are fueled by, like, this is how I used to do project management. And James, we spoke about it last time we see each other. Like, I always believe that I'm a translation layer, right? To whoever I work with. Like, I translate what my clients want to my team. I translate sometimes what my co-founder want to myself, or the other way around. So a lot of my decisions are not my decisions. They're fueled, heavily influenced by others to ensure that it's the right decision to be made. It's not often that I'm standing alone. I'm like, okay, this is a decision I need to make alone. It's very often like, well, I have all these perspectives. I bundle it down to something that makes sense to everybody. I will bear responsibility for that decision, but it's heavily influenced and heavily fueled by other people's perspectives.
I'm a huge fan of collaborative decision making, and I think it's probably the greatest trick to inspiring instead of leading. Right,
Yeah.
like lead has this connotation of like a dictatorship. This is coming down from on high, and you have to do it. This used to happen in corporate all the time. Why do I have to do this? Because someone above me told me that I had to tell you, and that's all I know, right?
Yeah.
But when you make decisions, especially critical ones, collaboratively, especially like with your founders, then you kind of have this sense of we all came to this conclusion together. Yes, like you said, Thomas, I bear the responsibility if this goes wrong. I will be responsible to my board, to my investors, to any other parties. But at least you have that buy-in, and if you have the buy-in, usually that makes all the difference in whether or not your decision works or not. You know,
or at least like defend yourself when it goes wrong. You feel that you're not standing alone, because the buy-in of the people, like, that's what I found. You create that buy-in, and we did a lot with servant leadership, right? So I created my teams to be leaders, like leaders on the mountain, like almost the American army tactics, right? Like, you have squads, and you have a team lead, but if they fall away, then the next person needs to pick that up. And I found if I brought that whole team into the decision, and they're like, yeah, we think this is a great decision. Like, cool, let's do it. That when, let's say, something went wrong with a project, these guys would also be there to solve it together, right? It's not like, oh yeah, it was your decision. No, they bought into that. They agreed that this was the right decision. So they will also help you if for whatever reason that decision doesn't work out in the way it should work out. That for us was always very helpful, and still is. Like, I always say, like, look, engineers always should have a strong voice in what is valuable. And if that's, working with engineering teams for the last 10 years, there's very often like, yeah, but you're the project manager, you need to make decisions. I'm like, no, my decisions are made by you. Like, I will narrate them, I will story tell them, I'll sell them to the client. But if you think this is the right way of doing it, then let's do it. It's like, but then you also give that responsibility partially back, because they're like, oh, wait, so now if I say we're going to use architecture X, Y, or Z and it goes wrong, it's on me. I said, no, it's on all of us, but you are influential. So, this is your buy-in. So you're also asking them to bring that responsibility in, creates leaders. And then, as you said, like, if you lead from the front and if you inspire, then you often see that if you're inspired the right way, if you motivate the right way, they don't need leaders. They will choose their own leaders. They will run that forward. They solve their problems, and when there are problems that are not being able to solve by themselves, like, you're stepping in and take that, right? Like, that's that flexibility and leadership.
You're the guardrails.
Always, yeah, that's it.
I love a good team member that has initiative. Like there's few things, initiative and creativity. Like if you step up, I mean, I'd rather be the person that has to say, "Oh, okay, dial it in a little bit. You're going off the rails here." But I'd much rather see, initiative.
Or the other way around, right? Like I remember having an engineer, and I was just like, I had a whole new plan for this client, really tough client, and set it all up, and I for 50 minutes explained what I think is best, and this guy, it's bullshit, man. And I was like, "Ow, that hurts." I was like, "Okay, explain. Like, what do you think we should do?" And within 10 minutes, he had a better idea. I was like, "Yeah, let's go with that." Yeah. So it's also, listening, and is that you're a leader doesn't mean that you know everything. It's very often that you don't know enough. And just that's what I also mean by that humble side. It's like, this was an engineer. It was just a front-end engineer. It was nothing. It's not influential. Didn't had a lot of decision-making capabilities. But he's like, "No, what you just said is bullshit. We're going to do it. I think it's better to do it this way." I'm like, "I think that sounds like a really, really good idea. Let's do it." And we actually got great success of it, right? So it's inspire, take the guardrails, but also be humble enough to say, "Yeah, I don't know everything. Please bring in your perspective, even though it's not your expertise," right? Because it was a process discussion, and he is an engineer. He was not really interested in the process, but in the end, he was more interested in the process than I realized. So took that, built something out of it, success.
I like it. There's some interesting stuff. I mean, so I obviously come from like a bit more of a financial corporate background as well. And there's two things. One is completely get everybody on board and making the decision, but make the goddamn decision and don't have the death by committee thing. You've got to step up to the plate and be like, "It's on me, this, we're going that way."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like when it comes to pulling that trigger, it can be scary or intimidating, but I think it's important to just do it. And sometimes you can't ask people. You just got to, we're going this way.
Yeah.
Why? I'll tell you later, but we're going this way.
Yeah.
In an ideal world, you get everybody's buy-in first. I completely agree. I also like what you said about bringing people along for the journey. I think that's great. Really, really strong.